Good evening, friends. Hello and welcome into another week. It's another edition of Clark After Dark right here. Like I always say, we're live and direct coming to you on RaceON.com, wherever you may be and wherever you may be listening or however you may be listening. We appreciate you guys for always coming and supporting us here on Clark After Dark as we are now in our 98th episode, closing in on 100. And we've been talking about that over the last couple of weeks. Didn't think we'd get here so quick, but we got here. We've done a podcast every single week for the last just about 2 years. So happy to be here once again after a big, I'm telling you folks, it was a massive weekend for racing action all across from local, regional to national racing. Even some of the biggest grassroots motorsports events in the country, like the short track, or the street stock nationals, at Lugnut. Rodney Wings placed the race over there in Why Not Motorsports Park in Mississippi. They had over 116 street stocks there. We'll get into the nuts and bolts what happened there. Of course, today is 8/18. By the time you hear this podcast, of course, it'll be 8/19, which is tomorrow. It'll be Wednesday when you hear this, but today is Kyle Busch Day. Of course, we tragically lost Kyle, but today is 8/18, represents both of his numbers in the NASCAR Cup Series throughout his very decorated career. Of course, he did run the 5 for Hendrick Motorsports at one time, but I did just want to give a special shout-out to Kyle Busch here this afternoon. Of course, Kyle Larson, speaking of NASCAR, pulled off, you could say, the quote-unquote double this past weekend. And people are going to be talking about this for years to come, right? We'll get into that as well. We have a first-time Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series winner of the Topless 100 this past weekend. We'll talk about that, too. We'll talk about that tire deal. You could say misfortune for a lot of guys, but for Dan Ebert, he even had a flat as well, but he rose to the occasion and got the biggest win of his career. We'll talk about all of that for the former USMTS stalwart. Preseason football is here. I've been kind of knocking them down every single week that I come back to this pod. I'm like, hey, we're 4 weeks away from football season. Now we're 3 weeks away from football season as the NFL preseason week number 2 is on the horizon right here, right now. And, of course, Von Miller, he's a Dallas Cowboy now, which is pretty neat for the future Hall of Famer. So we'll see how that all works out for the Cowboys defense this year. Of course, they are playing the New Orleans Saints on the 28th. I think I might try to go to that game, actually, for what it's worth. But, yep, the 12th annual King of the Hill is in 2 weeks as well. Folks, I'm going to try to bring my energy up a little bit here. We're recording this podcast a little bit later tonight. As we were, Cortland and I, we were all watching Marshalltown, Flow Racing Night in America tonight, live on Flow Racing. So I'll go ahead and bring on Cortland Smith now. Why make you wait anymore, right? There he is. Cortland Smith, how we doing tonight, big dog?
Hey, we're doing all right. Like you said, it might be a little bit later because we watched a little bit of Motown, but we ain't ever gonna be too mad about it getting to watch super late models on a Tuesday night, right? You can't you can complain about a lot of things in life, but able to watch some old super late models in the Flow Series rip around Marshalltown ain't too bad of a Tuesday night if we're able to do that. So doing pretty good, my friend. Just another week, like you said, a massive week last week. It was sitting here, you kind of crazy. I'm kind of feeling the same way, right? Like get your energy pumped up. We just ran the Knoxville Nationals, the Topless 100, the Street Stock Nationals. We just had the All-Star RaceON All-Star Challenge in our backyard this past weekend. The King of the Hills 2 weeks out. I mean, like we should be as excited as I'll get at it, and I think we'll get excited there, my friend. But just like you said, maybe just in a little bit in the wee bit hours of the night. We're officially in the nightcap of our portion of the night. Is we're in our nightcap, and we normally bring the juice on the nightcap, so we'll get her tuned up here in a minute. But we're doing pretty good, my friend. I can't complain about a whole lot of, like you said, a phenomenal racing weekend like this past weekend all across the country, not just in our backyard. We were just blessed to have some pretty good racing in our backyard as well. So we're doing good, man. And still, it just seems like we keep on rolling, right? Flow Night Series, they run 2 races, and you go to Makokata for a whole weekend of World of Outlaws. Going to be big shows out there, and then we're on the. You know, we say it all the time. It's big show season, right? Well, it's like big show season never leaves nowhere. There's a big race somewhere on the docket, at least if not this weekend, the next weekend. And man, when you start looking at schedules, I think somebody put the schedules out for the next couple of weeks. I think it might have been 67 talking about their schedule changes and whatnot. And there's just a big race, 2-day show after 2-day show. And man, just to end this year out, you know, we're in the dog days of summer. It was hot this past weekend. It's going to be hot the next couple of weeks, but we're going to power through. Like I said, I've rambled on enough already. Jeez Louise, I'm turning into Zach Clark already 2 minutes into the podcast.
You're good.
I need to back her down.
You're good, brother. I mean, look, I got a leprechaun that's peeking up trying to give you some money right now. How about that, huh?
Hey, I'll take all I can get. I'll take all I can get.
That's the old set-up-recon, right? That's the Brian Mize Memorial 11th Annual T-shirt right here. I backed away from the mic so it couldn't hear me. But yeah, man, it's the first time I've ever worn this shirt. Chris David gave me this one, of course, and I wanted to wear it tonight to advertise that event. Of course, that's a massive event. I think we do race at Boot Hill that night or on September the 5th. So,
Yeah.
again, that might be a little schedule conflict, but I don't think we're running modifieds at Boot Hill, so it's fine, obviously. And, hey, I'm here to promote all the racing that goes on throughout the Arklatex region. But the Brian Miles Memorial is going to be massive again this year, Cortland. It's got the STEM series involved as well as the Tom series, which is really cool. They did that a couple years ago, and they paid both of them. They were $10,000 to win. Not going to be quite that much this year, but as competitive as the Toms and the STEM series has been, like, that's going to be a really, really badass event, man. I really can't wait. So I did want to sport the Brian Mize Memorial T-shirt tonight. You know, shout out to Brian, his kids. We miss Brian. He was a great guy. Was a big hand for Kevin Sostera. I know Kevin Rogers thought very highly of him, considered him like family too. So that's why this event has continued to make its way every single year back to Rocket Raceway Park, because it means something to people. You know, we always talk about, you know, sometimes racing is just more than racing, and this is certainly one of those events that fits that bill for sure. All right, man, so this is episode number 98 this week, and I just want to take this kind of a different way rather than just name it out. I just want to take it a fun direction. If I had to ask you, Cortland, when I ask you, give me a number 98, what's the first 98 that comes to your mind? If I were to say, Cortland, give me a race car driver that drove the number 98 car, who do you have first one that comes to mind?
First one that comes to mind, he's come to Boot Hill Speedway a couple of times just because I love pronouncing his name, Charlie Schwartz, in the Schwartz car out of Dallas, Texas. He's coming to run the factory stocks. The Schwartz gang has pounced on the Boot Hill Speedway a couple of times, so I've gotten to see them in person. Walked up, always like sweet looking machines, like and kind of not. I'm not saying the simplest wrap in the world, but pretty simple. But man, like you can tell the fabrication, everything, they take really good care of their equipment around that camp. But Charlie Schwartz, not Charlie, Richie Schwartz. Schwartz in the Schwartz car. All Richie right, Schwartz, out 98 from Dallas, Texas.
What other 98s did you might have over there?
I got one that might surprise you, but I think you'll know him. Jason Rowan in the 98 used to race a
Black
super.
Diamond City,
Black, yes, sir. Yeah. Black Diamond City. You know, he probably don't remember me for nothing, but we were over we was at a Turkey Nationals one time, and he come down and raced it, and we were at over at Bag Shop. This is like circa 2018 for your boy here, and Rowan and Stuckey and Bags, we were all over at their shop hanging out. So Jason Rowan out of Farley, Iowa, he's raced a stock car a few times this year. He had a deal. Burkhalter raced his car out of the Wild West Shootout about 4 years ago, I think it was. Yeah. That was kind of the last time you seen him in the super deal, but he still raced a little bit, got a stock car. I think he's got like 6 starts this year. He was at Arrowhead for their big stock car race earlier this year, but Jason Rowan, that's another 98 that maybe not a lot of people were thinking of there.
How about the 98 from the Show Me State? The other 98, a guy who represents well on the regional level. How about Justin Wells, Missouri legend? Yeah. I'll never forget. I think I've said this before, but the first time I ever went to announce at Lucas Oil Speedway was back in 2009. I did a broadcast for Watch Mize Live, and I was so wet behind the ears. I had no idea what I was doing there. Anyway, so that's why I was so happy when I got to go to Lucas again, to kind of go back to just kind of get to experience it again, not so young in the game, right? Like, it was cool to be able to go back with the experience that I have now on this side of the fence. So that was fun. But Justin Wells, man, he's a Lucas Oil Speedway stalwart for many years, a Missouri racing legend, really. Anytime you go up to Lucas Oil Speedway, man, he's a competitor. But I remember he won the, I think, was it called the Show Me Brothers series or something that night? I don't know, but there was like 38 late models there that night. And the USMTS was there with him, but Justin Wells won that feature. And it seems like every time you tune into a Flow broadcast or at Show Me 100 weekend, he's one of the local guys that you know can contend for the win, right? Or he could finish in the top 10. He's finished in the top 10 a few times. Heck, he finished top 5 in the Show Me 100 before. Yeah. Like, he's a damn good race car driver. So shout out to Justin Wells, drives the number 98. I got another one of our local hot shoes, Luke Daniels, drives the 98X car out of Tatum, Texas. Luke is a great guy, too, man. He graduated with a degree from Mississippi State University. Truly, Cortland, if you've never had a chance to talk to Luke Daniels, and I'm sure you've talked to him, you know, in passing here and there, but, man, if you ever have the chance to go by and just talk to him or get to know him, he is truly one of the coolest dudes. His brother Jake was a good racer. He was smart as well and also graduated from Mississippi State University. Shout out Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, former Hawkeye.
I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to say it.
Yeah. Don't make me go over here and grab my Dak Prescott stuff to show y'all. I'll wait to do that next time whenever football season's right here on the horizon. They play the Giants on Sunday Night Football to kick off the season. So anyway, nobody cares except for me. All right, and another one I got, the number 98 car. All right, of Deputy Dick. You don't know nothing about Deputy Dick, do you? Mickey Perriman's son. Hey, there's a Kyle Cummings that's going to listen to this podcast more than likely. Kyle Cummings, former Super Late Model standout from Minden or Sibley, Louisiana. He's going to get a hoot out of me mentioning Deputy Dick tonight. When I grew up going to Champion Park, riding with my dad, there was few people my dad would say, you need to watch for this driver, son. My dad doesn't talk like that. He'd be like, you need to watch for that driver, son. You know, he has a little bit better voice than that too. I don't do a very good Todd Clark. I'll have to try to better that. But anyway, he used to always tell me that I need to look out for the 98 wing mod. And I'm telling you, pull up, there would be this wing modified, big old fat wing on it. But Deputy Dick was the chief of police in Webster Parish. Let me tell you right now. And he was about 360 pounds. And I'm telling you, this was a whole mountain of a man. All right. And he got behind the wheel of this damn wing mod. And I'm telling you, he was so big, his left arm and his right arm were sticking out. They almost looked like they were touching the big-ass tires on the back because he was just driving that thing around. Looked like Donkey Kong. And I ain't hating on you, Deputy Dick. You were the man. Like, but he had big old flames on it. But that's what the announcer up there used to always say. He'd be like, Deputy Dick, Mickey Perriman. I didn't ever know where they got the Dick from, maybe because his first name is Mickey. But anyway, yeah, Deputy Dick was the man. All right. He won some races. He was fast. Won races at Bayou Speedway, at Webster and Champion Park back in the day. So I've waited for 98 episodes to mention Mickey Perriman, and we're here now. All right. And I'm happy about it. How about another one? The next generation of the Dillard family, the son of Jeremy, Cade's his nephew, Cason Dillard, drives the number 98 car, Cason Dillard. I like the blue number 98 throwback he had this year, kind of a throwback to Cade Dillard's 2010 modified he had when he was getting his career started down at Sabine Speedway. And we got more 98s than I thought. How about Jake Haddix, right? The Haddix family. Yeah, some good ones. And one more here. He's number 19 now. But how about BGR Racing, the 98 and the 99 back in the day for Barton Glass Racing? Rest in peace to our friend Terry Lipscomb, who we lost in 2014. And the only reason why I talk about how he lost his life is because it hurts me every time. But, man, Terry sadly took his own life, and I've always tried to be an advocate about mental health and, mental health awareness and things like that. But Terry was one of the guys that you wouldn't have seen that kind of thing coming out of him, right? I know I talked about Brandon Barrett here a couple of weeks ago. We've tragically and sadly, I've lost some friends to suicide, and we've lost some good racers here in the Arklatex, Cortland, and Terry Lipscomb was one of those guys, man. I grew up watching him win a bunch of races, man. Him and Gary and Terry Lipscomb had two of the baddest just two of the best-looking, pristine-looking race cars back in the early 2000s, racing around Boot Hill and Champion. So I got Gary Lipscomb, former BGR Racing number 98 car. So I'm not sure if maybe you have a number 98 up your sleeve here, but what you got?
I got two more. How about, EF, Elysian Fields, Texas native John Locke.
Come on.
In the 98. Used to race a Pro Mod, B Mod. Crate was a couple of his last starts, but I remember we were sitting there. You talking about 98 comes to your head. Of course, again, Schwartz. I just love saying it. We crack up a little bit each time we announce it up in the booth, but had to go Richie Schwartz. But man, when you think about a 98, just for me, every time you went to Boot Hill there for many years, late teens and in the 20s, man, John Locke was always there in his Pro Mod, right? So that was another one. And then I got one more. He raced at Manny. It's not always his standard number, but Tracy Denby Sr. has been racing that 98 for the Seals family. He finished second at Sabine on Friday night. So anytime I can shout out old Pops, man, old Tracy Denby Sr., anytime I can give old Pops a shout out, I got to. He's cool, man. If they're the Denby family, they all good. But if you go get Pops fired up on something, man, he's a good time. Denby family and all of them, but I had to give old Pops a shout out for winning the 98 here the past couple of weeks.
All right, so when we were here on this podcast last week, Cortland, we told everybody, and obviously it was the talk of the town, that we knew Kyle Larson had qualified into the Knoxville Nationals on Wednesday night, right? He was high point man. He was due to be on the pole of that race. But he had kind of reserved the fact that it's probably not going to happen, right? Kyle Larson knew that Richmond raced on Saturday night, where he went on to finish sixth in that race. And all Knoxville did from the time that he hopped on a plane and left and got on a PJ and got to Richmond, all it did was rain all week. And it was almost like the weather gods were saying, Kyle Larson, we want you back in Knoxville to win your fourth Knoxville Nationals, right? Everything literally that Kyle Larson needed to fall his way in order for him to hop on a PJ and get back to Knoxville literally went his way. Like, the odds of this ever happening, and for this to happen to any driver, it could only happen for Kyle Larson, right? Because who else in dirt track racing would be 4 hours away from a race that you're supposed to be on a pole at, right, Cortland? And who has a private jet to be able to get you there? Nobody. So it's only Kyle Larson that you can only put in his little private Idaho for something like this. But, like, what I want to talk about tonight is I have seen a lot of conversation on social media. And listen, what I've learned is that social media is not a real place. It's not. It's not a real place. Because, listen, people, don't let anyone minimize what Kyle Larson did on Saturday night. I mean, really, like what seemed like a long shot and something very improbable, like I said, turned out the weather gods wanted Larson in Knoxville. And like, again, he's the only person that could pull something off like this with his elite stature, his place in the sport. But again, it's the fact that he did it. And it shows that his heart is still in dirt racing, right? Like he could easily, let's just look at it this way. Kyle Larson could easily just skip this event entirely, right? When Jeff Gordon went on the NASCAR after running those Thursday night Thunder races, Cortland, right? Yeah. USAC races, he was winning. He was the next guy up in dirt. But once he got to that point in his NASCAR career, we just never saw Jeff Gordon anymore. He was gone, like a thief in the night. Like what got him there, we never saw him again. He was still my favorite race car driver growing up, but we never saw him come back to his roots and what got him there. And one thing that I love and respect about Kyle so much is he doesn't talk about dirt racing as if it's a step down. He has always respected the caliber of the competition it is, and he honestly feels that it makes him better when he does drive his Cup car. And for him to make it back to Knoxville, right? Like it was the most watched flight in the United States of America on Saturday. Like Dirt Vision's there, they're interviewing him getting off the plane. His crew chief, when he's still in the car at Knoxville or at Richmond's telling him, hey Kyle, they're in a rain delay in Knoxville. He's like, really? Like he had already completely shut his mind off to it and was focused on his NASCAR Cup car where he, like I said, he finished 6th. And he was just reserved to the fact that I'm not going to make it back to Knoxville. Like it's done, it's over with, so why trip on it? Well, his crew chief comes on and Cliff Daniels says, hey, it's raining in Knoxville. We're going to do everything we can to get you there. And so he gets out of the car after finishing 6th and hustles his ass back there and makes it back to the racetrack, Cortland. It's not like you just hop in and you get in your race car and you go win. Yeah, you do it from the pole. But it's the freaking Knoxville Nationals. Like, I don't want it to, I don't think because it's Kyle Larson, I feel like this whole thing has been minimalized to a degree because it is Kyle. You know what I mean? But we can't minimalize how impressive what he did on Saturday night was, right? To go there and win the race from the pole. He dominates all 50 laps of the event, and he didn't even get the hot lap the 57 car. Like, he didn't even get the hot lap it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying, listen, there's a lot of guys that don't hot lap on Saturday nights, right? There's guys that don't need hot laps. I'm sure Larson is one of those drivers, right? But the whole point of all this, and I'm kind of dragging it out, I'm rambling a little bit. I should probably had a little better notes to put my mind together here. But I will tell you, this podcast, too, I just want to say, I think a lot of people sometimes have this expectation when they come to this pod that they're expecting us to talk about this or they're expecting us to talk about. Folks, I don't even have expectations when I show up here. I show up here and tell you what's on my heart and what's on my mind every week. I don't even have expectations. So if you don't get mentioned, please don't feel slighted. Like I came here last week and I made up for the 96s because I felt so bad that I didn't mention Michael and Dylan Knighton in my 96s the week before, right? And so I felt like I had to make that up. So truly, and like also I can't have you say, well, you're not very prepared. Well, I'm very prepared. I got a lot of shit in my head. It's just how do I figure out how to articulate it to get it off to you folks. But anyway, nobody cares like I always say except for me. So the deal with Kyle, so he goes 6th. I mentioned that 10 times already, right? My point, Cortland, is the dude didn't do hot laps. He shows up and wins the freaking Knoxville Nationals. And like, I don't want anybody to discredit this or be like, oh, it's Kyle Larson. He was supposed. No, he wasn't supposed to do it, folks. There was 100 sprint cars there, and he won every race he entered on the week, right? Like, I don't care if you have Kyle Larson fatigue. You cannot discredit or take away his ability. He is truly one of the greatest to ever will a race car of any time. And we're lucky, dude. Really. We are lucky that we're alive in this era to witness it because in 10 years from now or some point from now, like there was a lot of parents there at that racetrack on Saturday that brought their kids and have been telling them about how great Kyle Larson is, right? They've been telling their kids. And so all these kids know is to watch this white 57 and how good he is. But then he actually gets there and he wins the race and all their parents turn to him and say, I told you he was really good. But they'll have that memory, right, Cortland? That memory will be stuck with them for life. They'll think back in 10 years whenever they're grown adults, because it'd be a 7-year-old today or he's 17 in 10 years. And he says, Mom and Dad, I remember when you took us to Knoxville and Kyle Larson flew in on an airplane and kicked everybody's ass. I will never forget that. You know, there's just some things in racing that you'll never forget. And this was one of those moments in time that you can never forget. It was an incredible performance by him.
It just adds to the legacy of what Kyle Larson is and what he's done, right? And, you know, you talk about the Kyle Larson fatigue or something, but it's almost like you've become numb to it. You know, like you talk about our expectations. I'll be the first one to tell you, hey, we are prepared, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you, I got a page front and back of notes, just wherever our brains take us, because neither one of us can stay on track very well. But anyway,
I do have ADD.
Yeah, I mean, I do too.
I am
I may have it.
unmedicated
I don't
these
know.
days.
I got something wrong with me, and it is what it is. But either way, like we talk about expectations. Once the whole idea of Kyle Larson was going to be able to make the race, everybody knew that the 57 was the car to beat.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it was no doubt. Everybody knew the 57 was the car to beat. And it is something that you will look back on in 15 years and be like, that'll be a memory forever in those kids' heads. Like you talk about, I love that analogy because little Cortland, 12 years old, Jared Landers wins the Topless 100 and he throws his helmet up there and when like his second ever start, I'm running to that fence and I was a Jared Landers fan from there on out because that dude threw his helmet and I had a chance to catch his helmet, right? Like he just completely ejecto-seated this thing into 10 rows deep in the grandstands from the front stretch. Like,
Dripping
and it
sweat.
is, it's dripping sweat.
It
It's
was
110
so hot.
degrees. Like it was
Yeah.
miserable. Like I can tell you, my dad probably regretted even bringing me because all I asked was for water every single time there was a caution come out. Either way, like this is what you. Not saying you expect, and we do get numb of it, but the minute that they said Kyle Larson can make it, it's like he's going to win it. Like that, that's just what Kyle Larson does. You know, like it's crazy. We are blessed to live in this situation, and I just absolutely love the fact that you mentioned it. Cliff Daniels is on the radio. They got so many people in the backworks of this deal that made this happen. And the fact that like he got out of NASCAR media, like they let him skip the media after the race, like Rick Hendrick and everybody in this situation, dude, there's a lot of things that go on. It's just not Kyle Larson racing. Like there's a lot of people in the backworks that either have to make this happen or allow this to happen. And we're honestly blessed that those people allow for this to happen, right? Is that we still get to see one of the greatest wheelmen in the world still show up and race at Knoxville Nationals, when at the end of the day, like you said, when he got in the car and even in his interview, he said like it was like I wasn't even thinking about it. I looked at the weather, it was done, it was over with. And just like you said, when Cliff Daniels came on there, he was surprised. Like Larson was like, oh, really? Like y'all are worried about this too? Like it made him feel good that so many people were also in his corner to go do this. And you get there, you dominate the Knoxville Nationals. What is this, his fourth Knoxville Nationals now? I mean, it'll go down
really,
in the
because they didn't count that COVID year, which they probably should have. He even says it is his fifth, but he says fourth technically. But go ahead, my bad.
Fourth technically. Yeah. And just, I mean, it just adds to this Kyle Larson aura that he already has, right? And it's just amazing what he's able to do behind the wheel of a race car. And it's amazing that people allow him in the NASCAR world to still come back, because it's very easy for Rick Hendrick or anybody to sit there and say, no, like you're not flying Iowa. Like you're not skipping NASCAR media. Like we're not pulling these strings for you. Like you got a job here to do. And the fact that they're backing it, you love to see it as dirt racing fans. Spire Motorsports in sprint car racing. You see Spire Motorsports with a late model that Devin Moran ran at the PDC, and rumor mill saying that Spire Motorsports may have a late model team coming around. You didn't hear? I mean, like I'm just saying, Racing Jason probably already put it out there on Twitter by now, but you know what I mean? Like the rumor mill's running about Spire Motorsports and what they're wanting to do in dirt racing. So it is really cool, man. And it just makes you realize that our little niche sport that we think is so small is maybe possibly even growing in this day and time. And the fact, and you can take it to whatever, maybe it is Kyle Larson sitting here and getting more people, more attention, more eyes on it. And if he's the reason why, then congratulations. Like I'm loving every minute of it. If you're a Kyle Larson hater, then like you ain't mad. You're just jealous that you can't drive a race car as good as him. Like that's all I got to tell you. That's all I can tell you, because the dude can flat out drive. We've seen it week in and week out, and he goes out, wins his Knoxville Nationals after racing at Richmond in a cup race. Like I love the mental aspect of it. Like he can just go in there and flip a switch. Like nobody ever thinks about, like these guys that ran this Knoxville Nationals sat around there all day long in the back of their head thinking of every single lap, what to do on a start, what to do here, what to do there. And this Kyle Larson's worried about running this Richmond race for like his real job. Yeah. And then he shows up, and I'm not saying it wasn't a job to win, and then he wasn't even thinking about racing, and then he gets on a plane, flies over there, most track flight. Like his mental racecraft, whatever you want to call it, his mental space that he gets in is absolutely incredible, because there's dudes that sat around there all day that thought about this race. And is the 57 car maybe the best sprint car in the country? Maybe so. Paul Silva's got that thing stuck. Like it is stuck like Chuck Norris in Walker, Texas Ranger. Like that dude is like, he's got that thing rolling. All right. Like there ain't no question about it. That 57 car is always fast, but just his mental aspect to go through it, you know. And I'm going to refer back to the deal when he's in the car and they radio over like, hey, Knoxville's on a rain delay. We're going to do everything we can to get you there. And he's like, oh, really? Like, and then you go back to running your cup race. You finish sixth. So obviously performance didn't fall off too bad, because I ain't going to say Larson been on the struggle bus in the cup, but a sixth place finish pretty good for the homie there. and then you just fly right over there and flip a switch, hop in a 410 sprint car and rip around Knoxville at lights out speed. It really is incredible, man. And people are going to sit there, y'all are just kissing Kyle Larson's tail. Like, nah, like a week ago, we were ripping him for the move he pulled on Ryan Timms, right? We'll go ahead and be the first ones to tell you he's the greatest race car driver ever. There's some moves you don't necessarily agree with the guy, but we are blessed, man. And if people don't realize what we're getting to watch right here, then they can go hop in the pond because they're a silly goose.
One of my favorite things about the post race was Sheldon Haudenschild, who drove his way to second. And by the way, shout out to Casey Kane for having his best ever Knoxville Nationals run. He finished third, and he kind of alluded to that great run he had in the Macri car winning the National Open at Williams Grove earlier this year. And he said he learned a lot from Anthony Macri and his father about how to drive a sprint car differently and how to set one up. And he's learned a lot. You can just tell he's got a ton of confidence, but it all goes back to that great qualifying time he had. He was overall quick time, which just goes to show your 2 laps on Wednesday at Knoxville are the most 2 important laps of your entire racing career, or every year. They're the most important lap of your year. You know, if the Knoxville Nationals is the race you want to win, then them 2 laps are important, and then you got to rely on your pill draw. You got to worry about what the track's doing, because, I mean, like Rico Aber and David Gravel, they had a badass fast race car, but if you don't go out at a good time like where Casey Kane did, Casey, here's the thing, though, is Casey was able to capitalize on that, and he kept the 4 car up front and in contention all week long, and that's what you have to do to be able to win that race. When you have an opportunity to seize, and you seize that moment, Casey Kane did it, and I was impressed with him. But my favorite thing, I got away from it, was Sheldon Haudenschild in the post-race. They didn't even ask him. He just came out and said it because he probably knew that the question was coming. He said, and by the way, he said, I'm happy that Kyle Larson showed back up.
Yeah.
He said, I'm happy that Larson showed back up. He said, because when I win this race, I want it to be against the best. I don't want there to be an asterisk against it. And not that there would be, but if he would have won this race, because Larson, this particular race, I'm not talking about any other, I'm talking about this race. He mentioned asterisks because that would have been the deal. If Sheldon would have won this race, or if Casey won it, or if anybody else won this race, especially if Gravel or somebody like that won it, right? Like, it would have loved to ream him for that. But if anybody other than the 57 would have won this race because Kyle Larson was stuck in Richmond, Virginia, it would have all been, it would have been like that if Kyle Larson would have made it back. You know what I mean? And that's how unfortunate that is for everybody else. Out of all the cars that were there, they really put themselves in position to have a good run there on Saturday night. But again, that is why guys like Sheldon wanted to be there, because they don't want to hear all that BS. You know, they want to be able to race against the best, and they certainly don't want to hear it whenever they do win a race. They don't want to hear that, oh, well, Kyle Larson wasn't there, so it must have not been nothing for you. You know what I mean? Like, all these wins are always earned and never given. So shout out to Sheldon Haudenschild. And before we completely move away from Knoxville, I just want to circle back to the opening night feature last Wednesday. We had a 3-wide photo finish. Like, Sheldon Haudenschild got the buy one, get one free on the last lap. He erased a 0.921 deficit. It was almost a full second. I mean, you can round up. I mean, yes, he erased a full second. He was third coming to the white flag as Jace Park and James McFadden are battling it out, slide jobs, going at it. Park's on the top, J-Max on the bottom. And you roll through 3, and when the camera pans on the white flag lap and they pan the camera into turns 1 and 2 and they're watching Park and McFadden, you can't even see Sheldon Haudenschild in the frame. He's not even in the frame yet. And Tony Bachhoven, Knoxville announcer, said a lap before that Sheldon Haudenschild closing in third. But that's the only reference that any announcer or anybody said. This was a truly improbable run of the checkered flag. I have never seen anything like it. I've seen Sheldon pull some rabbit out of the hats before at Huset's. He won that High Banks Hustle and won a big one. I think he came from like 6th to the win in the last 3 laps. But this race, in my opinion, Cortland, and I think you would agree, this race and that performance is what makes sprint cars special. And that's why fans love sprint cars. Like, you could find a lot of reasons, oh, they don't have starters, or we don't like them for this, or we don't like them for that. But when a sprint car race can perform to that level, and you can make up a whole second and 1 lap and go from third to the win. And again, that's also a testament to Knoxville RaceON and how racy that place is. But that was a true triple wow moment, was it? Like, that was... Sheldon Haudenschild won that race by 0.006, 6 1,000ths of a second at the drop of the... They were 3 wide coming to the checker. It was incredible to watch. If you guys haven't seen it, just type in World of Outlaws Wednesday night prelim feature number 1. You'll find it. It's worth going back to watch.
I mean, just to kind of like you said, I literally texted you, and I know that's kind of what you were alluding to. You may have been saving it for me, but I said, you don't get this in late model racing. Like, you don't get that finish. Like, you don't get a guy that wasn't even in the picture. And all of a sudden, like, even going into 3 and 4, you don't even see Sheldon Haudenschild. You don't even see the 18 car going into 3 and 4. And by the by the time they come off of turn 4, they're 3 wide for the win, and he's drag racing down the front stretch. And it is, man, that is what the sprint car fans, like, that's what you pay your lunch money for, is what everybody says, right? Like, that is the reason why you show up to Knoxville and why you show up to watch the 410 Knoxville, or the Knoxville Nationals, NOS, presented by NOS, however they say it, because I'm going to butcher it. But I mean, that's why you show up. And Knoxville is that place that, like, you get them in lap traffic. Did the scenario play out perfect for them because Park and McFadden had to make the choice behind lap traffic? Yes, but at the end of the day, Sheldon Haudensschild's lap on the last time by was 8/10, almost a whole second better than both first and second place, or both McFadden and Parks, who was 1-2, come to the white flag. So it was a phenomenal race. Like I said, you don't get a finish like that in late model racing. You'll have some 3 wide finishes, but you don't have a guy coming from a second back and absolutely rallying there at the tail and to make that pass. Like, he wasn't even in the frame like you alluded to. So it was, man, that was a really good race, and something that that's what you want the Saturday A main to come down to, right? Like, that's what you want to see on the Saturday A main.
That's what
we were blessed to see it in some shape or fashion. But just imagine the Nationals A main coming down to finish like that. That would be the one that had the asterisk beside it saying that's the race that the Knoxville National, like, that will be the one with the asterisk saying that was bad to the bone.
I did type that down. I put, could you imagine if that's how the finale on Saturday ended? That's what I typed that out. That would be something. It surely would.
That would be. You would see the happiest man in the world and the 2 most ejected people in the world. You know it? Like, that would, could you imagine leading that thing and just the dude that was in third, that was a second behind, just rallies right there?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the guy that wins it, like, they didn't know about it. Like, yeah, like it is what it is, but that would absolutely be wild.
All right, let's wrap around. We'll talk about the Topless 100 at Batesville here in just a moment, but I do want to we talked about national racing. Let's switch it up. We'll go down and we'll talk about the local grassroots racing here, which I said it on Saturday night, Cortland, and I said it on Friday night too at Manny. I think we had 94 cars in the pits at Manny, a part of the RaceON All-Star Challenge event for the factory stocks. I think we had 33 factory stocks at Manny on Friday night. I have to double check, but we had a bunch of them at Boot Hill on Saturday. Over 40 cars at Boot Hill on Saturday night for the RaceON All-Star Challenge. And we had 148 total cars in the pits at the Boot Hill Speedway in Greenwood, Louisiana on Saturday night. And which is really wild because our last event, we had 73 cars. And we were thinking, like, where is everybody? And we kind of always have a general feel kind of coming into an event, how many race cars we're going to have. And you and I talked about that. And you said this week coming in, you like, man, I think we're going to have a good car count for both tracks. And I felt like we would too, but as hot as it's been, and we've got racetracks that are canceling for the heat, which would also obviously help your car count some, right? You'll get some guys that do want to race that'll travel out from different places because their tracks have canceled, which gives you a better car count. But with the heat, I just wasn't sure what to expect. I'll be honest, I didn't expect 148 cars. I really didn't. And it was just a kick-ass night of racing. Well, we'll start off with Sabine on Friday night, man. Josh Warren got the Sportster win there. He's been on a roll. Zachary Riddick, man, dominated the front-wheel drive tuner feature. Ethan Bell scored his 18th win of the season in the limited modifieds. He is killing them right now. It's going to be a 69 E8 showdown before the end of the year, you would imagine. And then digging, dude. How about Dalton DuBois? I would have to say that this is the biggest win of his career. Like, maybe, I think maybe it even is money-wise, too. But, dude, Dalton DuBois, who has just continued to show that he is to that level as a lot of these other guys. I mean, when you've got Whitehead, you've got Abbey, you've got Kemp, you've got Faulkner, did I already say his name? I mean, you've got these guys in the field. You've got to go, and you've got to go now. And if anybody was going to defend their home turf and defend it well, it was going to be Dalton DuBois. He started fourth in the feature, and he quickly rolled his way to the race lead. And Dalton DuBois got, I'd say, like I said, the biggest win of his career. You went down there and interviewed him in Victor Lane. He's pretty subdued most times, but, like, he was ready to jump out of that fire suit because, like, Dalton DuBois got him done on Friday night, man. That was cool to see for him.
I'm going to steal this quote. We beat the best in the country, cuz. Like, yeah, dude, like you said, he's normally pretty calm, cool, and collected, and that's about the most fired up you're going to see him. Now, by all means, he goes out here, wins the King of the Hill or something like that. I'm sure he'll be a little bit more ecstatic. But, I mean, you threw a list of names out there and think about it. He had to pass Dustin Hennigan, a $30,000 Spring Nationals champion, for the lead, right? Like, it's not – they are never given, always earned, and the 55 camp has been really, really fast this year. And I know we got that B-Mod and wanted to race that B-Mod a little bit, but I've been bugging them and telling them, and people that have listened to this and listen to broadcasts, I know I've said it several times, like, I told Dalton, like, man, throw that B-Mod away. Like, just worry about that Cadillac because, like, that thing is too good. Like, he should have won on Autism Awareness Night, gave it up on the last corner to Josh Martin on that deal. But, I mean, That 55 car is fast. Dalton's been one of the guys at the last couple years that we've been saying has been turning the corner and is becoming to that elite status. And this weekend proved what we've been seeing. Eyeball test shows speed. And this past weekend proved it. They're going to say, oh, it was that Manny, it was at his backyard. That doesn't matter. Like, these dudes are the best factory stock drivers in the world. I'll go ahead and say it, especially in this region. And it doesn't matter if they show up to Manny, Boot Hill, Architect, 67, Super B, Thunder Valley. It doesn't matter. These guys are always going to be in the hunt no matter where they show up. Rocket, KSP, RPM, Hunt County. I'm going to say everybody so nobody gets mad and at us. Cotton Bowl Speedway, I-37. It don't matter. Southern Oklahoma. Like, it doesn't matter where these guys show up. They're always in contention. And they are. This RaceON All-Star Challenge and just big money factory stock racing pulls these guys together. And that's what we had. We had a showdown, and Dalton DuBois defended his home turf and couldn't have done it any better. You know, he drove a phenomenal race, had a restart there. They're on his back bumper and still drives away to almost a second win over Jeffrey Abbey. And at the end of the day, people can say if people are hating on him, I'm going to say the same thing again. They ain't mad. They're just jealous because Dalton DuBois in the double nickel 55, Robeline, Louisiana, stand up. Dalton DuBois got it done, and I'm really happy for him. I know my boy Scotty Too Hotty, Scotty Shade Tree Performance, Lake, and Mama Amy, Miss Lelania, all of them. I mean, I know everybody was fired up about it. They were, man, going down to victory lane with them. His daughter, Kaisley, she was like, she was hollering, and they're in the middle of the interview, right? Like, I mean, everybody knew just how big that win was. So shout out to Dalton DuBois, man, really fired up. That is a good friend of mine, and I'm really happy that they got the win.
Oh, yeah, Dalton's a great guy, man. You know, Scotty, what's funny is when I was leaving the track on Saturday night from Boot Hill, I was walking through the pits, and Scotty was getting, done loading his stuff up. You know, Scotty, he wears his heart on his sleeve, right? He's just a big-hearted guy. Walking through, he's like, "Is that Clark?" He's like, "I'll see you next time." He said, "I love you, brother." And, like, I knew me coming to the pod and just mentioning that, like, I say that to people, like, every time I see Valerie Wells, I think I mentioned that on the pod, like, me and Valerie are like family. Every time I see Valerie or we leave somewhere or we text, we always tell each other we love each other. And I don't know if that's weird to some people, but I don't know. Like, my whole life with my mom and dad, we've always, every time we get off the phone, all right, love you, bye. It's just what we do, I don't know. And anyway, I don't know, get a little sidetracked there. But, yeah, I think it's important to tell people what you think about them whenever you have the opportunity, because sometimes they might not be here anymore to be able to tell them. So, that's all I got there. Mason Martin won the stock cars debut at Manny on Friday night as well. And I'm telling you, this damn Mason Martin can drive a race car, right? Like, and I don't think anybody's doubted that, but he's just continued to show time and time again and prove Tim Hardman right for the opportunities that he has given him to drive his factory stock program as well. But Mason Martin won over. Listen, man, there was only 8 stock cars there, but that was a healthy 8-car field of stock cars at Manny on Friday night. And any one of those 8 guys could have won that race. There's no doubt about that. But we'll move on to Boot Hill. If you want to add anything about Mason, you're more than welcome to do so. But we had 148 cars in the pits at Boot Hill on Saturday night. Derek Grigsby won your limited modified feature. I don't know about you. What would you say was the best race of the night? Because I think it might be the B-Mod race between Colby Williams and Dustin Hennigan.
That's where I was going to lean
Colby Williams dominated that race. He was gone. I think we had a caution, wasn't it, with 7 to go? And he kind of took off from Hennigan right there, too. Stretched it out a little bit more, but with 5 to go, Hennigan moved up to the middle line of the racetrack. And throughout those cautions, you and I were talking about how Dustin has this knack, right, that he's just been able to find a way to pull these rabbits out of these hats late in these races. And, boy, he rose to the occasion. He did it again. He stole one from Josh Martin at Boot Hill in the factory stock in a green-white checker just a month ago. And then he just runs Colby Williams down and races him clean. Like, these guys are racing hard, door-to-door, off of 4. One time, Hennigan was right underneath the fuel cell of Williams. And, man, he was just patient. I think it was one of the smarter races that I've seen Dustin drive. It's funny because at some point in the broadcast, what did Dustin text me yesterday? He said that my dad is – he said – what did Dustin – I'll share this with y'all. He said, I'll tell y'all. He said, "Man, you messed my week up, LOL." I said, "How?" He said, "During the race, you said that I'm still not better than my dad." He said, "Yet he's played that race on broadcast 10 times since yesterday." I said, "It takes time, young grasshopper." I said, "You just can't overtake Chris overnight." I said, "You're on your way, 16 Junior." He said, "Oh, I know. He just keeps playing it." Chris and Dustin have like this little like father-son war going on with each other, a very competitive-natured family. And you kind of love to see that, right? That's just cool. And I like to give y'all kind of back behind the scenes stuff like that. But, man, Dustin's driven some really good races. Like, you can't say that he drove a better race Saturday than what he drove in the 30K, because that race he drove at the 30K was flawless, obviously, and won $30,000. But I told Dustin as well, as after you got done with interviewing him, I actually sent him this message, too, the other day. and I'm just going to tell y'all everything I've been telling everybody. I said, I'm proud of you, Dustin. I said, you've done got a lot better at interviews. I said, I knew we'd eventually get you to loosen up and start talking. I said, you drove a hell of a race tonight, man. Congratulations. And he said, thank you. He said, I think the iRacing interviews help. So anyway, yeah, no, he's just like, you can tell that he's confident and he feels a little bit more sure about himself. He's getting older. He's getting more mature. And he just has a little bit of a command and confidence in a race car, man. And it's cool to see, right? Like, we knew Dustin was going to be good, right? Like, he's been good in the car, but kind of to see him grow as a young man and being more comfortable talking to you down to the victory lane, like, that's the Dustin Hennigan. Not saying, the quieter Dustin Hennigan is not what we want to see, but I think we're starting to see a little bit more of Dustin's personality, and that's a good thing for the sport.
It is, and Dustin, get ready for Chris to play this 10 more times. Chris Hennigan's still better than Dustin Hennigan. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'll jump on the bandwagon too. Nah, I gotta give little Henny crap, man. Like, I remember just like 3 or 4 years ago, I had to crank this dude's pit bike up because he couldn't even kickstart this thing. You know what I mean? And now he's out here like literally the last lap hero the last couple of weeks, making late race passes for the win. And but he is, man. That he drove a really good race, and when I asked him, like, he was so patient on that move. Like, he never gave Colby Williams the idea he was out there. Maybe Colby heard him. Maybe somebody was trying to let Colby know, but Dustin never showed his card until he knew that pass was made. And it was, man, it's a really good race out of little Henny. And it is. His personality starting to come out, right? Like the first, he gets down there and he may be a little bit shy. You get him in the pit area without the lights and the camera. Maybe, he is a little bit more loose. And the Dustin Hennigan that we're starting to see is the little Henny that, when we sit here and start talking about him, that's the one that's playing in the back of our heads. That kind of makes me smile a little bit. Like I said, I had to kickstart the dude's pit bike at Sabine 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I still give him a hard time about that no matter what. Like, he can tell me he won 30,000 and I didn't. And I'll still tell him, like, you'd still be stuck in Sabine, Louisiana or Sabine Parish if it wasn't for me. Like, I still give him a hard time about that. But it's all good and fun, man. And at the end of the day, he is a really good race car driver. And the dude picks up a B-Mod win, first time sitting in that car. And, it is what it is. Little Henny is as long as everything keeps on working out, man, you'll have to sit here and hear us talk about Dustin Hennigan for years to come around the Arklatex, just like we talked about Chris Hennigan for years to come, or for years and still talking about him.
Yeah, and just like we have been talking about Jeffrey Abbey, right? Like, this is the crazy thing is that a lot of people don't realize how young Jeffrey is. I mean, 27 still very young. He's your age. You and Jeffrey Abbey are the same age.
Same age. Yes,
accomplished.
We're young.
This man has accomplished a lot in short track racing in the great state of Texas and beyond since he started his career. I mean, he started at a very, very young age, but he's won at every racetrack that he's ever competed at. Like, I don't think that there's, except for Eldora, right? I don't think he's ever won a race at Eldora, but he has raced there before in a Camping World Truck Series truck at the Mud Summer Classic at Eldora in the NASCAR Series, which was really cool to see him do that. I know Bobby Pierce got to do it. Bloomquist, a couple other guys got to do it. Bubba Wallace won one. Yeah, I said it. He did win one. Give him a little bit of respect, if you will. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Back to Boot Hill, though. But Jeffrey Abbey gets the broom out. He wins the RaceON All-Star Challenge factory stock feature. He came in as the point leader, and he just looks poised that, like, he had a goal and the task this year, Cortland, you know it. Jeffrey Abbey, when Tim Hardman gave him the call and said, I want you to drive this race car, and as soon as he put a twist, they swapped over to a B&B race car. Of course, it's what he runs in the stock car ranks. They swiped. He was in a sniper for a while, but the B&B is what, him and Paul Berger have a special relationship. And you knew when these CR suspension B&B race cars, you knew that Jeffrey was not coming around here to play around. He knew how competitive it was. He saw the 36J. He's seen Neil Kemp. He's seen all these guys dominate around here. And Jeffrey knew. He knew what he was up against. And he come out here and he won the 30K this year. And all he's proven, like, he didn't have anything to prove to anybody. But I think it's more of like, Jeffrey needed to prove to himself and he needed to prove his car owner right. And all he's done is prove Tim Hardman right. Every time he's driven that car, and then he got in his stock car. He said he didn't feel quite as good in the stock car on Saturday. Yeah. He felt like he may have been holding up 2 lanes of traffic. But, hey, sometimes that's what you got to do to win races. Neil Kemp may have been a little bit quicker up there, but that was a really good race, too. Mason Martin, Neil Kemp, and Jeffrey Abbey put on a show in the stock cars. Boot Hill was a little different on Saturday. The top never really came in for the features. It was really good in the heat races, but it just got about middle to bottom dominant throughout the remainder of the night. The racing was still good. The top just wasn't quite there, and it made for the racing kind of interesting, to be honest, especially that stock car race, because like Mason Martin, a couple of them times off of 2, Cortland, you saw it. He'd get a really good launch. Looked like he was going to pass them both at the same time, and then that caution came out and kind of negated his run. But yeah, Jeffrey Abbey's a madman, Your Honor. He continues to show what he is made of, and like I said, he looks like he's poised to win this All-Star Challenge points championship this year. We still got a few races to go yet. Of course, the King of the Hill is up next for that, which is an All-Star Challenge event this year, 10,000 on the line. Can Jeffrey? This is a dumb question. I was about to say, can he do it? Can he sweep the 30K and the 10K in the same year? He'd be the first driver to do it because we only have 2 sample sizes, right?
Yeah.
But I mean.
I was just gonna say if you were gonna throw it to me,
right? He's the favorite.
Yeah, if you were gonna throw it to me, I was gonna say like only thing that this past weekend like really proved at Boot Hill in the factory stocks, because like you've heard my analogy, like what's past is the past. Like you forget about who won 4 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like we're all looking forward to the next race. But all this proved is that in 2 weeks at Boot Hill, like everybody's gonna have their eye on that H237 to see just how good, because he proved it. 30,000, not saying it was a fluke. We knew how good Jeffrey Abbey was. We knew that this combination with Hardman, B&B chassis, his own suspension, like we knew he was going to be fast. He went out there, won that 30,000, and then to roll into Boot Hill, a very different Boot Hill, like you mentioned, and to do what he done again, it's everybody knows that you're going to have to. Is he the favorite? You got to pick him as the favorite. How do you not? Like, let's just be realistic here. But everybody knows at some point in time this weekend to win that 10,000, they're going to have to outrun that H237, and that's what this last weekend just proved.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens at Boot Hill August 27th through the 29th. 27th's a practice night, not required to be there, but we'd love to have you at Boot Hill. If you race a stock car or a factory stock, we'd love to. Or a factory stock. So that's what we mean by stock car factory. I know it gets confusing sometimes, folks. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And, some people are like, is that USRA or IMCA? And, just goodness gracious. But it is what it is. All right, the Sportsters are back on the naughty list, are they? I'll ask you. You're the commissioner of the naughty list, okay? You're big bad Santa Claus over there. Are they on the naughty or nice list this week? And shout out, before I throw it to you, though, I will say that Hunter Allen drove a flawless race the other night. His pocket got picked there late in the going, but man, my man and the Buds Construction number 25 car had rolled the dice throughout that feature. For him to be so good, for as bad as he is at iRacing, I'm impressed with Hunter Allen every time he gets behind the wheel.
Golly. Whoa, hold on. I'm just going. No, hold on. Wait 2 seconds. Let me say something. Do you know how many people I got coming at me whenever you make a joke like that? They're like, Cortland, you didn't defend me when Zach said something mean about me.
I'm not being serious.
What do you mean? I know you're not, but I'm just going to tell everybody. Like, hey, I didn't say that. Zach Clark said that. Zach, we are having fun. But Zach Clark said that, not Cortland Smith. All right, there you go. Have the floor again.
Listen, I've been really impressed with him. Not a kid, because he gets on iRacing and he doesn't race anything like he does there, which makes me believe that obviously listen, if you could take one of the two, you could say, if I could be really good at iRacing or if I could be really good in real life and you have a real life race car, you would take the in real life streets every freaking time. And that kid has been impressive. Like, he won 5 rookie Sportster races last year. And that was his first big boy Sportster win at Boot Hill. And, man, he was covering 2 different lanes of traffic. At one point, he was faded back to 4th. Case Jordan rolls to the front, picks their pocket, but we can't really talk about him because he got disqualified, right? It is what it is. Like, a lot of guys have been DQ'd. I am not going to take anything away from that young man's driving ability. No. Just like I talked to him in the Victor Lane speech down there, he was fired up to get there, his first career win. He literally drove a flawless race. He came from 15th to win. Case Jordan, like, a young man is good at baseball, and I'm telling you, he's good behind the wheel of a race car, too. His dad was really salty as well. But his dad put on social media after, people were on social media talking about what was the disqualifications for, and evidently it was for a locked distributor, correct, Cortland? It was for a locked distributor, which I don't know how much of a competitive advantage that can give you. Honestly, I have no clue, but evidently it's in the rules, so you can't do it. Steve Boga says, you're out of here, Scooter.
And sadly, that's the deal, is that Steve, a rule's a rule. That's what I've always said. Like, if they say you can't have a number 7 on the side of the door, then I guess I got to change my number. You know what I mean? A rule's a rule, and Steve is doing everything he can to make sure that this Sportster class stays sporty. All right. That does not take anything away from the race that Case Jordan drove. Like you alluded to it, from 15th to the lead. And this wasn't no split feature Sportster. There was 40 of them or 35 plus, 44 of the Sportsters. And guess what? We're probably the only place that's got Sportsters, so they're the best in the country, my friend. You can take that however you want to. But you had some of the best Sportster drivers there, and he drives from 15th to the lead, takes the checker flag first, and the man gets thrown out in tech. I'm very much one. Hey, I will say I ride with old Steve on a good bit of stuff, but it's one of them deals. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. A rule's a rule. They say that they borrowed the distributor like 2 weeks before, and it wasn't theirs. If that story's true, then can you be too mad at them? No. Then you just got to take the disqualification as it is, right? Same deal. Like, I ain't trying to throw no names out there. I think the worst part about this is like, and this is where, and I don't get on the bandwagon too much, but this is where social media really makes the DQ that much worse, because you got 48 people that it doesn't make any difference in their life what the disqualification was for, but there's gonna be 48 people asking what they all got DQ'd for. Yeah. And it's like, why? Like, it ain't none of your business. Like, what does it even matter to you? Like, you still got to go to work Monday morning, bud. Like, it doesn't matter if he got DQ'd for doping tires or a lock distributor. Like, it really doesn't matter. And I can see where they can. Oh my goodness, man! Like, I don't know how to explain it, but
they want to know.
I hate it for him. I really do hate it for Case Jordan. I do. It absolutely stinks. Oh, he'll come back and he'll win another race. Like, all that proved was just how good Case Jordan can be, right? Because let's just be honest, the past couple of weeks especially when I've watched them, they just had a lot of bad luck. And then he rallied from 15th to the win, right? So, don't take nothing away from Case Jordan winning that race, man. He drove a phenomenal race and worked his way past 14 cars on a Boot Hill Speedway that was really, really different and a lot different than what you normally see. And he mastered it better than anybody else. You had a couple other guys get DQ'd, and it was put on there that like they tried for 30 minutes to get the inspection plug out on Bub McEachern's car, and they couldn't get it out, broke a tool off in it, and it just wasn't happening.
And nobody's going to drill a hole, though, Cortland, right? Nobody's going to drill a hole in their oil pan to check things,
It all depends on how bad you want to prove something. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're willing, like, if I'm Bubba and I had 15 people around there, and they saw me try, and even I got from out underneath it and somebody else tried, and then we broke a tool off in it, at the end of the day, I wasn't trying to shy away from it. Now, maybe he might put some old Loctite on there. Bubba didn't want that inspection plug to come out. I don't know. I wasn't there. That's between him and the good Lord. I'm going to let go and let God on that one. But at the end of the day, does that change the fact of anything? No. Do they stay on the naughty list? Yes, they stay on the naughty list. They got disqualified.
They've been off of it for a while.
They've been off. They've been good. They've been really good. They were working their way. But back on the naughty list, it is what it is. But my boy Steve, he told me, he didn't say he was going out there looking for him, but he said I wouldn't be surprised if there's one or two of them that I get tonight. And I said, all right, Steve, and people are gonna be like, Steve Bogus is out to get me, which they already say that as is. Trust me, I'm not stirring no pot here. But Steve just told me, whenever he told me he was taking the top 10 to Tech, I said, "Ooh, you gonna find something." And he goes, "Yeah, I probably will." That's exactly how the conversation went. So don't think he was out to get anybody. I just know when 10 Sportsters roll through the Tech shed, it's probably gonna get a little iffy with one or two of them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, again, shout out to Hunter Allen. He drove a great race.
Yes, he did.
Hunter, I believe in you on the iRacing streets and the real life streets, son. Okay, this is all just fooling about, just trying to jerk your chain a little bit. Me and his dad have been friends a long time, too. His dad, Chris, used to drive an over 715 limited mod back in the day. He also had a factory stock, too. Him and Billy Grider were good buddies, I think, or teammates. They were the triple-digit gang, 492 and 715. Come on back.
Come on with it.
I'll tell you what,
Three numbers.
Chris Allen's a really, really good dude. He helps promote Arklatex with Remington Bud, and they put a lot of heart and soul into that place. So I hope they do well with that. And it's been cool to watch Hunter's progression, man. It really has. He's a good kid. He really is. And he can really drive a race car. I've been very, very impressed with him. And he drove a great race and earned it. That's their largest possible purse that they can run for is $500 to win. And he got the Chris Weatherford E7 Memorial, cuz that's in the back. That's in the back pocket of the tumbling dice number 25. Do you hear me now?
Not Jason Fager, Hunter Allen, my man. Not Jason Fager, Hunter Allen.
Super B Speedway, just to wrap up local racing. Super B did race this past weekend as well. Cody Gardner, they had the ASCS, the Hurricane Area Super Sprints there. Cody Gardner got the win for the Dustin Gates Racing number 6 car from Houghton, Louisiana, kind of a hometown win, if you will. That's the closest they're going to get to race at home, outside of 67 Speedway for them. So. Sportsters Colby Colt got the win. Rob Litton, the 4-time SUPR late model champ, got the late model win. The Man of Steel, Mickey Steele, won your limited modifieds. Matthew Driscoll has been really fast over there, winning races all season in the USRA factory stocks at Super B Speedway. Taylor Fee won your pro mods. Heard Super B had a really good crowd this past weekend and had a really good night of racing action. I've heard good things about the racetrack, obviously, this year. I know we came here a few weeks ago and we talked about the cancellation of the 10K. And listen, this sport moves fast, right? Like I try to tell people all the time, like we move fast just because what we talk about here on this pod. Like people aren't hung up on a lot of this stuff like you think that people are, and we weren't hung up on it either, right? Like us when we come here and we just give you an opinion, like we're just fans armed with a microphone. Like it's cool that people want to hear our opinion and what we have to say, but like also though, like take it with a grain of salt. Like, I'm not saying we're just doing it for entertainment purposes only. A lot of this stuff does come rooted in fact. And, I've got 20 years in the game here, so I just try to speak a little bit sometimes from experience, but sometimes I know I can get a little rambly and I say things, but for the most part, everything that I say comes from a place of, I hope it's knowledge, like I have been around this for a while, and I'm not saying anything ever to ever indirectly or directly chastise a racetrack or ever second guess what they're doing. So if anybody took what I said about Super B canceling that 10K a couple of weeks ago and you took it the wrong way, then I'm sorry. You took it the wrong way. I didn't take it that way, and you shouldn't have taken it that way, because I'm telling you right now that all you have to do is listen. Like, if you listen to what I'm really saying, there's nothing you could have taken out of that in a negative way. Now, if you got your feelings hurt and you took it that way, then that's your problem, not mine, right? I'm just here to talk about racing and have a good time. But again, I'm not trying to be like an asshole about it either, but it's like, man, like, just take it with a grain of salt, man. We're just talking racing. That's all.
Hey, we're just talking racing. Like it is what it is.
Like, it's just news.
And if I come on here and lie about something, you can easily. It's 2026. You can find my email. You can find my phone number. You can find 48 different ways to holler at your boy. Like I'm here. I just say don't at me because I probably ain't gonna respond anyway. But you can try to. Like you can reach out to me. It's all good. Like you said, it's nothing. Like you're talking to two guys that love, and I'm not gonna say we love racing more than anybody else, because there's a lot of people that love racing. There's a lot of people that I know. I mean, them Boot Hill faithful that come out there at 5:00 and sit in them grandstands. They love racing way more than this guy, because I'm gonna find some shade at some point. And them people sitting there in lawn chairs ready for racing action at 5:00. So I'm not even gonna say I'm the one that loves racing the most. But you're talking about two guys that love racing, and if we speak some facts on some stuff, and it may. It is what it is. None of it comes from a bad place in heart. We're not trying to Debbie down this thing. Like none of it ever comes from that. Like we specifically schedule 3 hours of our week every week to come on here and talk about racing, to try to pump it up and bring something that entertains people, to make you want to go to the racetrack. So it is what it is. Like I'm done with that.
I don't need to explain myself. Like we don't need to explain ourselves. I don't know. Like people felt, I got a few messages. People felt some type of way about what I said, and honestly, like I even went back and listened to it, because I know that I can get a little carried away and maybe ramble here and there sometimes, because again, it is a podcast. We're just here talking. Like this thing isn't supposed to be like super structured every week, right? Like it is just two guys talking something they love about. That's really what the premise of this podcast is, and hopefully, and for some reason, a lot of people enjoy it. And if you guys didn't enjoy it, I'd hope you tell me, and I'll just stop doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's what I tell everybody. That's what I tell everybody. That's what I tell everybody.
I want every single racetrack to do well. Like, I am here to promote positivity. I hate negativity. I really do, man. Like, that's y'all hear me come here all the time and get on people off social media, because social media is, I hate it. It's a bad place. It's not real life. Social media is not a real place. But anyway, I digress. I move on. A couple other notes from local racing. Kennedale Speedway Park. How about that wild last lap pass by Willie G? William Gould with a freaking dive bomb move on PJ Egbert. Two former IMCA national champions. Cortland's over there throwing elbows, because that's what Willie G threw on PJ the other night. PJ was ready to hop on a private jet.
He was.
Yes. I tell you what, he stole an IMCA modified win at Kennedale. And I tell you what, I seen people in the comments like, PJ shouldn't have left the door open. It's like, well, bud, that kind of, and when I seen people saying that reminded me of that Bobby Pierce, Tanner English kerfuffle at the USA Nationals a few weeks ago. I even heard you say it. It's like, Tanner shouldn't have left the door open. It's like, well, like, I get it. We're coming to the checkers, and Willie G, you can't never leave nothing. You can't leave no meat on the bone for him, because he's going to eat it every damn time. And a little
big
bit
and gold, cuz.
Hey, can we just listen? Can we just call it like we see it? We have so much respect for William Gould and PJ Egbert. And it's okay if we come here and just tell you our opinion and call it like we see it, because we're not actually at the racetrack. We're not on the microphone. We're not speculating at the event in real time. Like, this is after the fact. This is hindsight's 2020, people. Willie G used PJ Egbert up. Am I right or am I wrong?
I mean, I ain't gonna say use the
Okay,
month.
see,
It's not
that's
like
why
he
you're
sent him
here.
to the taco. It's not like he sent him to the
I know.
taco stand out there in turn
A
4.
win
You know
is
what I
a
mean?
win.
But I was doing a little dramatic elbow there. But at the end of the day, Willie G maybe laid a door defender on him to pick up the win. At the end of the day, you hear guys all the time say, "I'd wreck my mama to win a race." Well, guess what? Willie G didn't even wreck the guy, but he did maybe throw a little elbow in there, throw the old chicken wing out there, and say, "Hey, move out the way." 60 coming to the front. You know what I'm saying? But hey. Look, if I was Egbert, like I'd be mad at William Gould too. If I was William Gould, I'd probably throw the same elbow as well. Like that's racing, right?
It
And
is.
you hate it, you love it. Did he completely destroy his stuff? I've seen people wreck other people way worse than that for nothing. You know what I mean? For 15th out there, So
Hey,
at least he was racing for the win.
point here, Willie G knows though, because he is this kind of racer. He knows he's got one coming back. That's the thing about it. Like I got one from you, PJ,
He
and
ain't
I
gonna be mad.
guarantee you, when PJ was walking down to him down there in Victor Lane, giving him an earful, he's probably like, "Hey, bud, I got one." He probably knows it. Like when he made the movie, he knows it's coming. But I like instant gratification, and I'm here to win right now. We'll worry about that other shit later on down the road. Whenever I get fed a right rear, I'll remember. Yep, this is payback for that time at Kennedale, and that's just racing, Cortland, right?
And then you got the people that you can, hey, it's 2026. I'm not here to change your opinion. Like you said, you see people in the comments, Egbert let the door open and Gould walk right through it. Like if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. At the end of the day, Willie G wins the race, and it was a good finish. And then you had a little dramatics afterwards, and that's what people seem to love. So we got us a good finish out of the KSP.
Yeah, absolutely. How about these other drivers with a sweep on the weekend? How about Jason Ingles? You can't really say he got off the schneid because he's been really fast.
You took mine. That was going to be my local shout out of the night, man.
With the driver sweep for the Longview or Hallsville, Texas driver, the owner and fabricator of Ingles Racing Performance, Jason Ingles, won at Hunt County in the Open Wheel Mods on Friday night. And we just talked about this a few weeks ago, did we not? We came here, we're like, how has Jason Ingles never won a Tom Series race? And Jason Ingles wins the Touring Outlaw Modified Series race at Grayson County on Saturday night. He gets the broom out and joins Jeffrey Abbey as drivers that swept the weekend in their respective divisions this weekend.
Yeah, the Mr. IRP, he's liking that mod right now. Like, and I went back and watched the mod feature today, and dude, that was Jason Ingles, and he looks like Mr. IRP of old, right? And they'll be the first ones to tell you that their modified program maybe fell behind a little bit, but right now Jason's feeling confident, and he's definitely one. Like, you don't give him any bit of confidence because the dude's got all the talent in the world to go drive a race car. Then you get Jason Ingles a little confident in himself, hop behind Jared Wallace's car at the West Grigsby, drove it to a podium fit. You know what I mean? Like Mr. IRP feeling pretty froggy right now, and don't be surprised. A couple modified races rolling in. 12 car don't show in and surprise you. I ain't saying he's gonna go out there and go win no modified world dirt track championship or something, but IRP slowly picking that speed up, and Jason Ingles is showing that week in and week out. Like this Grayson County field, Matthew Day, Chad Melton, Drake Finley, Dean Abbey. I mean, you could go down Rusty Trevathan, Jason Martin, Sean Marquez, Mason Day, Chase Hatton. Like this ain't no, the Tom series. I've talked about it plenty of times. Toms and Stems, you go watch them anytime you want to on RaceON. Like I absolutely love the series. Hey, Brian Mize Memorial, another shout out to it. You get all of them there. He was going to be a factor. What is that, like a $50,000 purse with the Brian Mize? And you don't be surprised. It's 80.
I think it's 80,000. Yeah,
50 plus really 30, $80,000 purse. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, Jason Ingles. I had him. Now you lie.
I'm about to come 30 grand out of my pocket. If not, make up the difference. 30K I ain't got. Hey, by the way, I sent you a screenshot this morning, didn't I? Because I got up and somebody said, "Hey, what's going on with RaceOn's Facebook?" And then I got on and evidently our RaceOn is removed from social media right now on Facebook.com for copyright infringement. Shame. This is the silliest thing. This could be for a song playing in the background on a broadcast on one of those live look-ins. It could be anything like that. And we get a lot of these warnings, and a lot of times we get out of them because it's not copyright infringement. It's just silly. It's technology overlapping on other technology, and it thinks you're doing something wrong. But anyway, the whole RaceOn page is down. It's down right now, and so if you're looking for RaceOn, you can't find it.
I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon like a bunch of other people. It's that dang AI ruining the world. It's that AI ruining the world, cuz that's all I gotta say. No, but that's like everything's gone right now, right?
All of our stuff is real and authentic to us. All of our stuff. We don't steal anybody's content.
You
All of our
don't
stuff is
get
real
this
and authentic.
greatness anywhere else. You don't steal
It's
this
just-
greatness anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm
it's
saying.
crazy
No, I'm
though, because
joking.
you
I'm
could
getting
go and
all
look at
for it.
Facebook, and there's another RaceON. Look, a RaceON account that has 13,000 followers. If we wanted to be a hard ass, we could go and send a cease and desist letter to this person right here, but we don't. We let them barrel
Ooh.
race and be happy about their life. Yeah, look, RaceON. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13,000 followers. That's fine, cuz just hip off our I'll move on. All right. Street Stock Nationals. And we also needed to talk about the top. My goodness, we're running out of time. We're already in an hour and 4 minutes. We got to make this quick here. All right.
And we said we was gonna be quick tonight.
Yeah, we did. We did. Dude, the Street Stock Nationals at Why Not? We've never talked about that here on this podcast. I know we haven't since I've started doing it. But dude, they had 116 freaking street stocks. Crate Racing USA street stocks at Why Not Motorsports Park at Rodney Wing, Lugnut's House of Power, one of the best racetracks in the country. 140 factory stocks with it. Dude, 2 classes, like 275 cars. I thought MRP was lying. Like, I know we get a lot of cars at the 30K and the King of the Hill, but dude, 275 cars in 2 classes is an unbelievable home run hit, son. Like, congratulations to Rodney Wing for just getting that many race cars, and then much less to have a photo finish that comes down to the wire at the drop of the checkered flag on Saturday night with Tyler Nicely and Spencer Hughes. Spencer Hughes, the former super late model standout, right? He's back racing locally. Spencer Hughes wins. Dude, I'm telling you, he had it by a rabbit. He had it by a rabbit, son.
Yeah.
And a rabbit's not very big. Yeah. And what a race.
Why not? What a race. When you go to Why Not, you're treated to that time in and time out. I know I've said it several times on here. Like, you got to go to Why Not, whether it's Street Stock Nationals. I always talk about the Fall Classic because I don't think I missed the Fall Classic in like 8 years any time it's ran. But the House of Hook, old Rodney Wing got that joint right. And like the racetrack is just phenomenal. Are you going to go see the greatest grandstands in the world? Nope. Are you going to go see the most wonderful concrete asphalt pit area like Lucas Oil Speedway? Nope. But you're going to see one of the best racetracks that ever been built. And Rodney Wing's got that place on kill 24/7. And after having 270 cars compete on that surface for 3 straight nights, you get a photo finish in your premier event. That's what we do it for, right? Like, that is the reason why. And the hometown kid, Spencer Hughes, 4-way fab, builds his own cars. Like, that is the whole purpose of all this stuff, right? And on top of that, you roll into Street Stock Nationals, anytime you roll into Why Not, I know from speaking from experience and for sure at the Fall Classic, and I know the Street Stock Nationals, they say the party is 3 times greater than what the Fall Classic is. You show up to a phenomenal race, you're going to see some of the best racing you'll ever see in true grassroots fashion, right? Like, these are truly all guys that they take off of work to come to this event, and on Monday the next week, they're either putting in AC systems, driving, mechanicking, whatever they do for their living. Like, this is true grassroots racing, and it really is becoming a spectacle. Somebody on Facebook, I don't want to steal it, so don't copyright me. Don't think I'm copyrighting, but somebody said that that he's a big race fan, and people ask him all the time, like, what event do I need to go to? What event do I need to go to? And he says he always tells them the Street Stock Nationals because that is the truest form of grassroots racing that you will see. And I agree with that 100%, because where else are you going to go to see 270 cars in 2 classes compete? Like, it is. I thought we had the Fender Nationals this past weekend at Boot Hill Speedway because we didn't even have Fender. You know what I mean? Like, they had all the Fenders over there in Meridian, Mississippi.
Crazy.
And that place really is cool. You pull in, and it is, man. I can sit here and talk about it all day long. You got the pond out there and the overflow parking. We've hot lapped Rodney Wing's bus around the track with Tyler Erb driving it before. Like, it's just, I'm telling you, man, like, Why Not is Why Not, and you can't explain it. You just got to go live it.
One thing about it is how cool those cars look. Like, those them Cruza street stocks are.
Them right fronts are like out in left field, cuz them right fronts are so far stuck out.
Well, I'm not like, even looking ridiculous. At that. The fabrication and just the rake and the body and just how well the bodies are fabricated on the really good look. There are a couple goofy looking ones out there. We were in here watching it the other night, and we're like, like, this one kind of looks a little goofy, but for the most part, they were all really, they're just sharp look. Like, they really look like a race car. You know what I mean? And the one thing I've always enjoyed about our factory stocks, and yes, I enjoy the way the stock cars look because they have them, the steel bodies on them, so they look a little more natural, right? But man, like if you get a good put together sheet metal body, you know, on a USRA factory stock, I mean, they're really, really good looking race cars too, right? And especially now that we're able to groove the tires, they used to the slick, they used to always just stick out, right? And they kind of looked funny because
Yeah.
they were slick. Now they're kind of grooved. They do look more, I'd say, like a race car maybe. But like if we're comparing it off of looks, like those street stocks, man, they get it on.
They
They
spend
they look appealing. You know what I mean? And they
They
race well is the other thing.
they spend a lot of time building them things. Like there is a lot of time and effort that goes in them street stocks. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into any race car that anybody has. But
I thought
you
street
are
stocks
right.
were dead.
No, cuz not in Meridian, Mississippi
No,
last
not in
weekend. Not in Meridian, Mississippi last weekend. They was alive and well, my friend.
I
But
know.
yes, they are some really good pieces. I know there's a lot of teams and fabricators out there that spend a lot of time in building them, and they take their time on it. And you know, like when you look at the bodies, it kind of replicates a late model, right? And the same effort and preciseness that these guys have, and just the skills of fabricators that we have working on dirt cars really is crazy in the retrospect when you think about it. Like, of course, you're gonna see stuff like this on national tours, but even the guys that are racing at the street stock nationals, that's just how much pride, you know, that they take in their stuff, and how serious they do take this. And it is really cool. What, you know, those are some race cars, my friend, and they went topless. I don't care what anybody says. We can roll this right into the topless 100. Late models, people say it looks goofy. I love when people take the roofs off. You can just see the driver and everything so much better. It just seems cooler to me. I don't know. You can take this however you want, Zach Clark, but Street Stock Nationals, banger.
Well, hey.
Go check out Why Not. Rodney Wing, you're the dude.
I've got the chance this weekend to go to Amarillo and announce USMTS, and I'll be honest with you, I'm so on the fence about it. I texted Todd Staley yesterday because this wasn't originally one of the dates that he had sent me, but he told me he wanted me full time. So anyway, I messaged him and I said, hey, do you need an announcer for Amarillo? I said, my weekend just opened up because Texarkana canceled their event this weekend. And I said, my weekend just opened up. I said, that 8-hour drive doesn't look appealing, though. I said, but I'd consider it if you need somebody. They're hosting a Flow Racing Night in America event tomorrow night at Mason City. That's it. That's him and Jennings Racetrack. And so Flow Racing Night in America is going to be there. And I think they're getting up and hauling tail to Amarillo the next day. But he said, yes, planning on you if you can. I plan on calling tomorrow. I haven't quite made up my mind. I ain't going to leave him hanging, but I really want to go because I want to work somewhere this weekend, but I just don't want to make that 8-hour drive because, like, I don't think y'all really, especially, like, I've never come on here and talked about this, but I drove drove to Nevada 2 Thursdays ago, and I left, and that's a 6-hour drive. It wasn't too bad. It was 6 hours and 30 minutes. But, man, I'm telling you, the older I've gotten, it's a little bit harder. I used to make that drive to Corpus Christi all the time, Cortland, when I drive, and that's about an 8-hour drive. And I drive down there the same day, and I'll be driving all day long. And by the time I get there and I get on the microphone, I'm spent, you know. And I know driving's not like a physically demanding deal, but I mean, shit, man. Yeah, you drive for 8 hours straight. It is a little tiring, especially when you have to go and talk on a microphone for 8 hours straight after driving for 8 hours. That's a 16-hour day right there. So yeah, I just don't like the fact or the idea of driving for 8 hours or 7 hours to Amarillo and then getting on a microphone and talking for another 5. But anyway, it is what it is. I'll figure that out. Sorry for telling y'all every single thought that comes into my mind here tonight. That's what I'm doing here on episode 98. So, all right.
It's all good.
All right, here we go because we're running out of, we're not actually, if you wanted to have a 3-hour podcast tonight, we could, okay? And
We could.
One thing I do want to say real quick. So if anybody watches the video portion of this podcast and there's any point, because I've had a few messages this past week where people say, Zach, the video's messing up. Cortland and I are aware. I've told Cortland about it, even though he doesn't go back and typically watch the video part. Just because this podcast is now in my hands, it doesn't mean because it's in my hands, that's why it's messing up. It's something to do with how my C drive is partitioned, and nobody cares to explain all that. I'm working on getting it fixed. I just have to get a new version of Windows put on my computer. But what I found out,
it's all your fault.
It is. But I found out the reason why it's doing that because the computer that I bought, it was partitioned more for gaming. And so I'm running out of memory on my C drive, and the vMix that what we conduct this podcast, the program that we use, Cortland, is run through the C drive. And so what it's doing, I'm running out of space. And anyway, no reason to explain all that.
You're telling me all this, and I already know, but I guess you're letting the people know.
Yeah, I'm just letting the people know. So it's going to do it again. It's going to do it again on this podcast. That's why I'm telling y'all. It could be happening
probably already done it
now. It's probably doing it right now as I speak. All right? Like, I could be flipping y'all off and you wouldn't even know it because it's blurring all over the place. But anyway, I would never do that. I love every single one of y'all. All right, final thing tonight. Ramblin' Ronald here. Topless 100. All right? Dan Ebert wins his first ever Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series event 1 week after breaking a lift arm at Florence at the North-South 100 and causing that Daytona crash on the front straightaway that involved 13 cars. Like, what a bounce back, man. And honestly, like, I'm happy it played out this way because sometimes a great storyline can save what was otherwise a less than stellar race, right? If you watch that race this Saturday night, you know about the tire woes, right? Like, and I'll say that when the green flag was out, the racing was pretty entertaining, in my opinion. I thought when the green was out, the racing was entertaining. There was multi-lanes to choose from. These guys were getting it on. You could tell that they were trying to conserve their tires and not overheat them up. But, man, we just didn't get too many long green flag runs. And man, James Essex, like, he's such a professional. Like, I kept waiting on him. I kept waiting all Saturday or Friday night for James to slip up and say anything just borderline about and he never once budged. Never once. That's what makes James such a freaking professional, man. Like, that was probably such a frustrating race for him to call. But at the end of the day, he got Dan Ebert, a new first-time winner out of it. Like I said, sometimes a new first-time winner or a great storyline can kind of overshadow all the other things that went on throughout the race. Because the story about all this, and I've seen so much negativity on Batesville regarding the track and the tires. And personally, Cortland, I feel like it's unfair. I feel like it's unfair to Mooney Star because social media is brutal to people. And this is the man that Mooney Star is. He went into the pits on Saturday and bought, after Friday night's portion of that event, when everybody lost a tire, he went and bought every single crew. He went to the Hoosier trailer and bought every single crew a new tire. I don't know many promoters in the country that are going to do things like that. And I know that was a way of him to say, hey, thank you guys. I'm sorry about this. But I don't think that anybody necessarily, Cortland, has been able to pinpoint exactly why we were having so many tires cut down. Because Batesville seems to be the place for some or whatever reason. Is it because it's so hot down there? I heard people talk about because they put new dirt on the racetrack. I mean, Josh Rice rolls from 21st to the lead, and it looks like he might go back-to-back in Crown Jewels. But honestly, as we're watching it, Cortland, it was a ticking time bomb. You're watching it thinking it's any time he's going to lose a tire. That's how inevitable it was that whoever was out front was going to lose a tire, or whoever was in position, and there ended up only being 2 guys that made it the whole race. Not surprising that Dale McDowell made it 100 laps on a full set of tires. But Clay Stuckey finished 4th in the topless 100. Shreveport, Louisiana, stand up and holler. Clay Stuckey finished 4th on a bald set of Hoosiers. I mean, we can get into the nuts and bolts. Dan Ebert wins it. Like, incredible. There's so much to unpack here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot to unpack.
It's a million different ways you could go with this. I'm just going to start off with the fact that for a moment there, Josh Rice was about to go back-to-back from the north-south to the topless 100. But like you said, it was a ticking time bomb of when is that tire going to hold? And, you know, some people hate it. Like, and I definitely, like I could tell you right now, not that I was ever on a national tour, but I was a tire guy at a topless 100. I absolutely hate going there because whether it's the new dirt or whatever, like you're going to go through tires there. And it's just, is it the dirt? Is it the fact that Batesville carries so much speed and load? Like they say the G-forces and the loads there that are on the cars and the equipment is equivalent to like Eldora and Charlotte. Like that is some of the most load that these tires are going to bear at any moment in time. So did they maybe quality test a few tires and we found out that maybe they're not the best? I don't know. But at the end of the day, you were treated to a race that you had no idea who was going to win.
Fact.
And that right there, as a fan, I saw a lot of people sitting there complaining about every tire that popped, but boy, they sure knew about every single one because they stayed watching that mug.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
Hey,
like
it was the number 1 race on Flow this week. They released it today.
They didn't hate it so much that they turned it off. They stayed watching it, whether they wanted to complain about it or watch Dan Ebert win. And at the end of the day, that's what you got. Mooney Star went around, like you said, bought everybody a tire. At that point right there, you know, whether you love Mooney, hate him, it don't matter to me. For him to go do that speaks a pretty good volume. But at the end of the day, you got your first-time winner. You know, was there maybe a few rocks on there? Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there in person. Everybody wants to speculate. There's people that have raced there this year that say it's got maybe a few more rocks than normal, but there's not a single racetrack in the country that doesn't have rocks. You can walk around Boot Hill Speedway, and there's rocks there. You can walk around. Now, are some places way worse with rocks than others? Yeah, like Springfield Raceway is one of the worst with rocks. Like, I mean, it is what it is. But that whole tire deal, until somebody that was until the crew that was there can exactly pinpoint it. And if they may have already put it out there. So I'm not trying to make excuses. Like somebody may already have that out there, but until some tire guy or some crew that was actually there live on the scene, and the guy that was sitting there grooving 14 tires, because I know that there was some poor guy like me that had to do it before, until I see one of them talk about it, then, it kind of, I'm not saying it is what it is. I absolutely hate that there was that many flats, and that's what this topless is going to be known as, instead of the fact that Dan Ebert won. But, it is what it is. But it was a really cool event. Like I said, everybody was watching it. You had no idea who was going to win. The little bit of my heart, I was hoping old Chickamauga, Georgia Dale McDowell was going to win it. TP, he showed it. He showed you. Oh, Phillips ain't no joke, cuz. I don't care, Dirt Late Model Hall of Famer or not. I was impressed. TP can roll, son. And but yeah, you talked about him too. But man, Clay Stuckey running fourth at that deal, making a set of tires last all 100 laps. Like shout out to the Stuckster, man. Like I know that it's whether tires this, that, and the other. The fact that he made a set last 100 laps, rocks, don't matter what was cutting them. Like to make a set of tires last 100 laps at Batesville, no matter what. But even before, years before this situation ever happened, it was hard to do. And he done it this past weekend. So shout out to Clay Stuckey, man, running fourth in that deal. Like you said, it was him and McDowell, the only two that made it the entirety. Josh Rice made it, 89 laps before his finally gave out on him. So, but at the end of the day, Dan Ebert picks up his first ever super late model win at the Topless 100 for 50 G's. The week after, like you said, the storylines write themselves sometimes. A week after Daytona crashing the entire deal. And it wasn't his fault. He had a mechanical failure. It was not his fault. And then it comes back the next weekend after all these people saying Dan Ebert, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Don't matter, dude. Don't hate on the 6-0 because the 6-0 can roll. They work hard.
Dan's progression, watching his progression, man, has been fun to watch. It really has. I think you would agree with that. Everybody has been able to see his progression, and he has really, truly gotten better. There's some guys, I'm not going to name any names here, but there's guys that you have seen get on this tour over the last few years, and they don't progress a lick. And I understand it takes a team, it takes a unit, it takes a lot of people and able to make strides on the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series or the World of Outlaws Late Model Series. Yeah. But that you can see the strides that he has taken, and you can tell, man, he's just a really, really good guy. He's a family-driven guy. He's faith-oriented. He just believes in himself, man. And I'm telling you, you have to believe in yourself before anybody else will believe in you. And you can tell that Dan's confident in himself. He knew, every time they've interviewed him, he knew that he was going to get here eventually. And I think that, to me, that's one of the most impressive things, because I remember when he burst onto the USMTS scene at one time and was not necessarily a household name, but he comes and he wins the King of America. And everybody's like, shit, this Dan Ebert means business. That's been his entire career. Even back when he raced snowmobiles, he has always defied the odds and had to prove everybody else right. He always has believed in himself, but he has now proven everybody else around him right. And to me, those are the best stories in racing, right? To watch a guy come up through the mud and to win against the best. I mean, for real, this isn't going to be his first and only Lucas Oil win. No. I bet he wins another one before this year is over. I don't know about you. Maybe. It's going to be tough. Who knows? He might win at Eldora. You know what I mean? You never really know. He's qualified up front and continues to put himself in position. But again, it should give this... Dan Ebert should give the guys who are out there trying to make it in this sport hope. You know what I mean? It should. Yeah. If you want something bad enough and you work hard enough at it, you can rise to the level that you're trying to achieve and get to, And I think that that's the most rewarding thing about all this, is just how good of a feel-good story it is. And that if you work hard enough, you can climb that ladder, man. It just takes a lot of damn hard work and determination and willpower.
What you doing, Dan? Sitting in the victory lane of the Topless 100, cuz, and I can't be more happy for him. I mean, Dan Ebert's doing it. And, and you talk about his come up. The dude jumped in super late models and didn't go run no regional tour, didn't go sit around home and run places. He went straight to Speed Weeks, into the toughest late models that you can go run Speed Weeks. And for 2 years is literally, if there is a national tour event, 99% of the time, the 60 car and Dan Ebert's at that place, and he is out there racing against the best of business. And when time and time again, when I'm not saying that you see people quit all the time, but when people get in their heads and finally just say, look, I've had enough. I have beat up and down this road. We ain't getting we haven't grasped victory lane yet. We haven't made it. And I'm not saying they tuck their tail and run, but eventually, like, your fun meter just gets pegged and you're going to jump off. And Dan Ebert has stayed tried and true to it. And he has worked his way to here. And I can't be more happy for him. What you doing, Dan? Dan's a Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series feature winner at 50K at the topless. So that was a really good story there for that. That was a really good story there at Batesville, and what a week is in this sport, right? Like I talk about, we don't worry about last week. Shoot, Dan Eber ain't worried about that North-South 100 no more because it's all topless 100 all the time. And after the flow night tonight, he probably ain't worried about the topless right now. They're worried about the next night.
In closing on Batesville, I hate that the conversation is surrounded about tires because, like I said, nobody works as hard as Mooney. Or, I mean, listen, there are a lot of promoters that work maybe just as hard as Mooney, but I'm telling you, that man pours his heart and soul into that racetrack, and the Topless 100 is his baby. He created it back in 1993, and that is his event every year that he pours everything into. Yes, he's got the Race for Hope and some other special stock car and IMCA modified specials. I know his weekly program means a lot, but man, I've seen so much negativity on social media this week about the place, and there's a reason why Lucas Oil goes back to that place every year because it's more than just the race, right? It's an event. It is. It's an event. People love going to the Topless 100. It's the facility. It's the hillside. It's the everything that goes into the whole place. Listen. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series officials and Mooney Star want the product on the racetrack to be better than what they had on Friday and Saturday night. You bet your sweet ass that's what they want. Do you think Mooney Star wants to be answering questions from all these drivers of why they're cutting down tires, or he has to go spend $20,000 on new tires to give to all the drivers because he feels so inclined to do so because he feels responsible for their performance? Like, I don't want any promoter to feel like, but I mean, I tip my cap to him for it. But it's like, dude, I'll be honest. The last 3 years that World of Outlaws has rolled into Boot Hill, Cortland, I think you know that I'm on pins and needles, not because I own the racetrack, not because I have anything to do with how well the drivers are going to race or how the track's going to perform, but because I know how much Rollo and Bubba want it to knock out of the park. They put everything into this racetrack all year, and for their biggest race of the year to have $50,000 on the line, and they want their racetrack, when all eyes are on it with a national touring series in town, they want to perform the very best that it can, how we know that it can perform, right? That's all they do is work on that racetrack to make sure that they can provide a quality race. And when you don't meet that mark, it stings. It freaking hurts. And so you can imagine how Mooney Star feels right now. So I encourage anybody who listens to this podcast, get on there and support Batesville Motor Speedway. Any way you can. Go buy a T-shirt from them. If they sell them all, I don't know. Mooney needs your support. The place needs it because it could eventually, if you keep bashing the shit out of it on social media, it might be one less crown jewel that we have in a few years. You know what I mean? Not saying that people are going to be the reason that it goes away. I know. And listen, I think when you have a race like that, it does open up room for criticism. And I think that people are right to criticize, but there is a way to listen. There's a way to go about things. Like there's a way to there's constructive criticism, and then there's just being an asshole. You don't have to be an asshole to get your point across. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all I got. I've rambled enough. We're at an hour and 26 minutes. And I do want to wish a big happy birthday to super fan Sean Hibbs today. Happy birthday to you, Sean Hibbs. Celebrating your big time birthday, big dog. Man, what's on the RaceON airwaves this week? And I'll get out of here. Or we'll get out of here.
Wednesday nights, hopefully you're listening to this and you can pop on in Lafayette County up there in Iowa, racing Grant County Fair Night. Go check it out. That's Wednesday night. Friday night, Solo Dolo on Friday night, as far as I can tell. Hunt County Raceway, final points night there. So that's Friday night. Saturday, this is when we get hot and heavy. Cotton Bowl Speedway, Springfield Raceway, Texana Raceway Park, KSP, 105, Southern Wing Mod. You talked about, go ahead. Who'd you talk about earlier?
Deputy Dick?
Deputy, yes, sir. No Deputy. Yeah. I know we don't race no more. I'm just saying wing mods are back in the Arklatex region, but that's all I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. Southern Wing Mods are at Arklatex. Grayson County Speedway's racing. And then you got the Ronnie Sigmund Memorial at RPM with the Tom Series. That's Saturday night. And then Sunday, you got some lovely Dubuque racing that you can always check on and pop on a Sunday afternoon and watch some boys up in Iowa sling some dirt. But, I'm not going to say it's the most hectic RaceON weekend that they've ever had, but definitely you got plenty of races that you can shake a stick at and then tune in at some point in time this weekend because, boy, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of them. Fofos, I'm tripping. Wood grain, I'm gripping. You got 11 races on the RaceON platform this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to be tuned in. I ain't going to lie. I'll be checking out Lafayette County tomorrow. And okay.
Yeah,
But
go Go ahead. My bad.
What are you doing? I was just gonna say.
I didn't actually mean to.
Yeah, I didn't mean to.
No, once
yeah,
it's
you
actually,
did.
no, these buttons are really finicky. I want to be honest with you. Remember, because I accidentally, when we were doing the intro last week, I accidentally hit that button. I had 2 songs playing at one time. Yeah, so get off my lawn, Cortland Smith, okay? You settle down. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
I did rudely interrupt you on accident. Johnny Gibson rudely interrupted you. ZC did not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I do apologize.
Anyways, Ronnie Sigmund Memorial at RPM Toms. I know I talk about Toms and Stems. That's a big one. Night Saturday night. Your boys. I won't be at no racetrack this weekend. We're getting prepared for the King of the Hill. Obviously, you know we'll pump that up next week. But I'll be tuned in for the Ronnie Sigmund Memorial for sure. I know that's a big one at RPM this weekend. So that's where I'll be tuned in watching. Be keeping it all on the RaceON platform this weekend. We got plenty of races you can watch.
If we go for 45 more seconds, we'll be exactly an hour and 30. Do you want to wait that long, or you just want to get out of here now?
45 seconds. Hey, cuz
I'm sure. I would imagine you could come up with a filler for 30 seconds.
Come up with a filler for 30 seconds. Hey, how about Trevor Spear at Manny? The speed that the 21 car had.
He was rolling. I
Dylan,
like that.
Yeah, Trevor Spear.
Hey, Dylan, I think Trevor might be faster than you right now.
Yeah, I'm about to say Dylan Spear, move out the way. TP's rolling in here. You know what I mean? Trevor Spear, stand up and holler. Had a really good run. I hated that. I don't think he finished the race. I don't know. I think he pulled off or something may have happened. But yeah, he was up front leading that race at Manny on Friday night there, and had the E8 of Ethan Bells, and Ethan even said in victory lane, he's like, I don't know if I was gonna get around him. You know, like he goes, I knew I was better in a certain point of the track, but I didn't know if I was gonna get around him. So Trevor Spear, any of the Spear camp, if y'all made it this long, like Zach, you're talking about 98 episodes and people listening. Like, I have no idea why they should decide to listen to me and you talk about racing. And I think I've hit my 45-second mark, so I'll be fired now. And that's A-okay.
You were supposed to hit me for 20 seconds. You've been going for a minute.
Well, look, I'm just pulling a Zach Clark ramble session.
I know, exactly. I'm just giving
That's
you a
all
hard
I'm doing.
time. You're the man, brother. Thank you. Cortland Smith's the man. And
the people that listen to this, they're the men and women. They're why we do this.
Yeah.
I'm just somebody. That's all it is. I'm just Cortland Smith. That's all I am.
My mom gets a kick out of you saying you're Livin, and she said that Cortland. She said he's just chilling, ain't he? I said, yeah, he's just Livin. And all right, ladies and gentlemen, what you got?
I was just gonna say, we always vibing over here. We just a vibe, and don't bring no bad vibes.
Don't bring no negativity. Don't bring none of that bad stuff on our porch, cuz. All right,
we're just here. We're just
here so we don't get fined. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for listening to us truly ramble here at the end of this one. Boy, y'all are the best. Be blessed and be a blessing, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you at the dirt track.
Later.